Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is March 25th, 2024, and Joan Laporta has taken matters into his own hands in regards to Ronald Araujo's renewal. Also, Barcelona have received multiple offers for Hector Fort. And finally, we will talk about the Julian Araujo dilemma that Barcelona are currently facing. We have a lot to discuss. So let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo and this is the Barca News live podcast where not only do I get to share news with you, but I also get to interact with you wonderful people in the chat section by reading your comments out loud, answering any questions, and getting a discussion going. This podcast is, of course, on every Mondays and Wednesdays. And I haven't said that, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, make sure you participate in the chat section. And as always, if you are looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure you hit the kickback. And if you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure you head to Bet Us. Both links for kickback and Bet Us are down below in the description. Now, I know I'm currently wearing a button-up shirt. I just got off work, and the first thing I did was hop on my computer so I can bring you wonderful people the news. That is why I'm all dressed up. But I know you don't care about that. So let's dive right into the news because even though the FIFA virus has always been bad to us, even though our players are always getting injured, and the FIFA international break has usually been a curse, this time around things have been a little bit different because we started with Portugal deciding not to use neither João Cancelo nor João Felix during their first friendly match, which was good news. Of course, Portugal are playing against Slovenia tomorrow, so both Joaos could play tomorrow, but playing one match instead of two is much better. That's 90 minutes less than these players have to play. It's also one less match where they can get injured. Then we had the whole thing with Jules Koundé where he was seen limping off the field. We thought he was injured. Turns out it was just a knock. He's fine. He's still going to be healthy to participate in Barcelona matches. And now more good news because Uruguay has released Ronald Araujo and he will be flying back to Barcelona. Now, Uruguay were set to play two matches. The first one was against Euskadi or Basque Country. And the second match was supposed to be, is going to be against Ivory Coast. Ronald Araujo did not play against Euskadi, and now he has been released along with several other players from the Uruguayan training camp. So he's not going to participate in the second match either. So he will be coming back to Barcelona, having not played a single minute in the FIFA international break, which is great news. It seems that Araujo was released because he has kind of an overload on his muscles. It's not an injury. It's not serious. He should be available for Las Palmas. But because he did kind of have a little bit of overload, Uruguay decided to release him to take every precaution possible and not risk the health of the player, especially for meaningless friendly matches. So thank you, Uruguay, for doing this and for returning our captain, our formidable wall, Ronald Araujo, who will be coming back to Barcelona, not having played a single minute in the international break. We have only a few more days in international break. Hopefully things can keep going smooth, and hopefully no other player gets injured. Now, more good news, and this is something I forgot to mention in yesterday's videos, but more good news because our ladies, Barcelona Femeni, defeated Real Madrid in El Clásico 0-3 in what was yet another impressive performance by our ladies. By the way, the first leg of the El Clásico match earlier this season, Barcelona won 5-0. Now 0-3. That's 8-0 in both legs. So amazing job by our Barcelona Femeni, who right now are sitting first. Surprise, in La Liga. I'm going to make this bigger for you. But if you can see right there, Barcelona are on top with 61 points to Real Madrid's 49 points. So that's 12 points ahead of second place, having won 20 matches, drew one, and they haven't lost a single match this season. I have to tell you, our ladies are absolutely amazing. They're so dominant. Sorry about that. They are so dominant in their league, not only in their league, but in Europe. I mean, every opponent that they face, no matter who it is, they completely demolish them. I got the pleasure of watching the Barca Femeni last season against Villarreal in Barcelona. They won 5-0. It was one hell of a display. I'm flying to Barcelona next month. I'm going to watch another Barcelona Femeni. I have to say it's an absolute pleasure to watch these ladies. They truly embody what the Barca DNA is and how Barcelona should be playing, or how the first team should be playing. So I think the men should definitely take notes. And, watching the women always reminds me of what Barcelona's standards should be, because I think since 2017 we've been struggling. We had the Luis Enrique left. We brought in Valverde, who was kind of an average coach. Our squad was aging. They were all in their 30s. Messi left, Suarez left, a lot of important players left. Then we had that disastrous short term of Quique Setién. Then we had Koeman, who wasn't a great coach either. So I think we went through so many years of bad football that somehow the fans have gotten used to that. And they've gotten used to that performance where every little thing just excites them. Oh my God, look how great the team is. And it's like, I don't know if you guys got used to all those bad years, and that's why every little thing impresses you. Like the other day, someone commented and said, Xavi is one of the best coaches in the world. And that one really made me think, because I'm like, I know I've criticized Xavi a lot, but even at his best moments, I would not consider him one of the greatest coaches in the world. And I think that's part of the problem, why we get so excited about every little performance or every good performance, because we've gotten used to so much mediocrity. And that's a problem, because, look, bad moments are bound to happen to any team. You find your golden generation of players, things start to click, you dominate for many, many years, but eventually that comes to a stop. Your players get older, other teams get used to how you play, they figure out how to defend against you, and eventually you hit a bad patch where it's up to the club now to rebuild the squad. So that's understandable. All teams go through bad times. Bayern Munich are going through it right now. So that's fine, and we should understand that, and we should, understand that we can't always be dominant. But one thing we should not do is lower our standards. We could be okay with, we're going through a bad patch. That's fine. It happens. Football is cyclical. It's like this, up and down, up and down. But we cannot do ever is let our standards come down. And I think that's a big problem when I see people getting mad at me for criticizing Xavi or for criticizing Rafinha. I think people's standards have become so low, where someone like Rafinha somehow to them is one of the greatest wingers in Europe, or Xavi one of the greatest coaches in the world, and they're not. And again, you could be okay with the team going through transition. You can understand with the team going through a bad patch. But one thing you cannot do is lower your standards for one of the biggest clubs in the world, one of the most historic clubs in the world. And if you feel like your standards have been lowered, do yourself a favor, go watch the Barcelona Femeni, remind yourself of what the first team should look like and what the first team should be playing like, because those ladies know what they're doing, and it's an absolute joy to watch them. But enough of my rambling. Let's get back to the chat section, and we do have a comment from Barca News's first official member. If you don't know, you can become a member of Barca News. There are 3 different tiers to memberships. Each tier has its own benefits, with obviously the top tier having the most benefits. And Trick Chakle is the first official Barca News member, and as such, he gets his comment read first. And he says, "Hey Mo, on another channel, I predicted a 3-win versus PSG in leg 1. If our form prior to the international break continues, braced by Lewandowski and an 80th third by Fermin. Am I way off base?" It's a good question. Look, I believe we can beat PSG. I really do. I really do. If we stay focused, if we can be solid defensively like we were against Napoli and Atletico Madrid, if our midfield can, come together like we did in those 2 matches, if our front line can be more mobile and our midfield can create more chances or more passes like we did in those 2 matches, I think we can beat them. 3-0, I don't know. I feel like PSG are going to at least score 1 or 2 goals in both legs. It's Mbappe. It's very hard to mark him. We have Dembele, who's usually, most of the time, he's a flop, but every now and then he gets, inspired, and if he does get inspired, he's pretty dangerous. So I think we could beat them, but I don't know about a 3-0. I don't know if we can, be that more dominant. PSG are being coached by Luis Enrique. So, but hey, I pray to God, may he listen to you and may your prediction become true. Let's see. Javad Hat says, do you think we need Haaland if we have Vitor Huokie, Margiu, and possibly Pau Victor? I don't think so. I mean, look, if we could have Haaland, any team would love to have Haaland. And this is not a dig at Haaland. He's obviously the best 9 right now, but I don't think we do. I don't think we do. If we can keep Lewandowski for another season or two, while Vitor Huokie and Margiu and Pau Victor mature and get better, I think we should be fine. I mean, would I love to have Haaland? Sure, who wouldn't be? But would I want the club to spend 150 million euros when they're going through such a bad economic time for Haaland? When we have Roque, Guiu, and possibly Pau Victor? No. P says, Mo, who would be the last person you want to get injured ahead of our clash against PSG? Whew. I don't want anyone to get injured, but if gun to my head, last person, I think Gundo. I think Gundo has been so key in our midfield, both defensively and offensively, but more so offensively, that I think without him, our midfield would be in trouble because Christensen can hold his own defensively, but who's going to do that offensive job? Who's going to make those runs to the box? Who's going to filter those passes to our forwards? Gundo is the best one. Without Gundo, maybe we can hold on defensively because we have an amazing defensive line and Christensen is doing great in a pivot position. So maybe we can hold up great defensively, but then who's going to help us transition to offense? So I think my answer will be Gundo. All right, anyways, let's get back to the news, and then we will keep talking on the chat section. That's my favorite part, honestly, of every podcast is reading you guys' comments out loud and answering live. This is why I do this podcast. Because I get to interact with you wonderful people. If not, I would just make videos and I wouldn't care. But no, this is why I love the podcast. I love Mondays and Wednesdays. Maybe I should start doing a podcast 3 times a week because I love interacting with you guys. But let's get back to the news because I did just mention him. Ronald Araujo. But let's get into the news because Joan Laporta has taken matters into his own hands in regards to Ronald Araujo's contract renewal. Now, we've been talking about Ronald Araujo for weeks and weeks. You're probably sick and tired of me hearing saying the name Ronald Araujo. Ever since the winter break when Bayern Munich made that huge offer for Araujo, which Barcelona said no thank you. Araujo said no thank you either. Bayern Munich is still interested in signing him. There's been a lot of statements in the press. Laporta saying he wants to keep him. Araujo saying he wants to keep him. Then Araujo's agent comes out and talks about it. Then Deco's agent comes out. Everybody's just exchanging statements over the press. And all this, talks about Bayern wanting Araujo. Laporta has finally said enough is enough. No more statements to the press. No more back and forth. No more dealing with agents and representatives. And he has said enough is enough. And Laporta has personally, not through an intermediary, not through Deco, not through his secretary, Laporta personally has picked up the phone and called Ronald Araujo, not his agent, not his entourage, not his family, not his dog. No. Laporta has called Araujo directly and said, look, we count on you. You're a very important player for us. We want to keep you here for as long as possible. And we want to renew your contract. So just know that you are incredibly important for Barcelona and we want you to stay. This, of course, all refers to Araujo's contract renewal. We know it expires in 2026. Barcelona want to extend it even further because they consider him a cornerstone of Barcelona's project. He's the present and the future of Barcelona. They want to also increase his salary, to match kind of his status and to kind of help him shield him from temptation from other clubs willing to offer him much more. And that's negotiations have been kind of stalling. We know all these back and forth. So Laporta has said enough is enough. He called Araujo himself. And now they're saying that the postures of both the player and the club are much, much closer. They're closer than ever. And maybe we could expect Araujo to sign his contract pretty soon. Now, it's not over yet. It's not like, okay, we signed it. It's not over until there's pen on paper. but it seems that this call has definitely brought the parties much closer than they were before. So good job to Joan Laporta, who said enough is enough, no more bullcrap. Picked up the phone and said, yo, we want you to stay. Araujo's like, cool. All right. Let's get back to the comment section. And NJ Flip, whose name is not New Jersey, because I asked him before, says, yay, Hector Fort will be that rotational defender that will be needed for the long run. Man can play left back, right back. I don't think he's that good at, or at least from what I've seen, I don't think he's that much of a center back. He's obviously mainly a right back who can play on the left back. I don't know about center back. Let's see. Yo, Seb says, sell Julian Araujo, not good enough. I know many Barca fans love him for some reason and think he will fit in the squad. Truth is, if y'all didn't like Dest, then you definitely won't like Julian. I'll talk about it a little bit more. So I'm gonna not answer for now because we do have a segment for Julian Araujo. But Trick Shakule says, after last night's 2-0 win for the U.S. over Mexico, people were talking about Dest like he was the second coming of Christ. Give me a break. You know, I've noticed that too. Not just in the U.S., Barcelona fans, everybody. Fans sometimes are too fickle. Like a player gives them one great performance and they're like, that's it. He's the best. He's the Messiah. He is the second Messi. And a great player has one bad match. And it's like, sell him. He's done. He's finished. And it's like, you cannot base a player on one performance. You have to look over a long period of time, preferably the whole season. And even then, because there are players who will have one great season and then they'll suck for 4 or 5. So you have to look at the overall performance, not just one match, because look, every player, statistically speaking, is bound to have a great match. No matter how bad you are, you're bound to have that one great match. So, and greatness is not defined whether you can have a great match or not. It's how many great matches can you have? Are you having a great match once every 15 matches? Are half of your matches great and the other half bad? You know, that's what defines greatness. And I think a great player, a top quality player, should be able to perform really well in 70 or 80% of the cases. Not 100%. That's absolutely impossible, unrealistic. We're not robots. We're human beings. Or players are not robots. They're human beings. Even Messi had really bad days. But I think a great player should be able to perform 70, 80% of the matches. You know, there are plenty of really good players in mid-table teams, and they never leave those mid-table teams. Why? Because they can only be great half of the time, and the other half of the season, not so much. And that's why they stay, you know, people like, oh my God, I'm totally blanking on his name. From Valencia, the midfielder. Anyways, you get the point. Let's see. Taha says, what do you think of the news from Sport that Laporta wants Haaland 2026 and he already laid the foundation for the deal with his agent when she was in Barcelona last month? Look, one thing about FIFA international breaks, news is slow. So you start seeing all kinds of crazy articles. I mean, what does that even mean, lay the foundation? We're talking about 2026, 2 years from now. Does Haaland even want to come to Barcelona in 2 years? Where is Haaland going to be? Is he going to be at Manchester City? Is he going to renew? I mean, it's way too far in the future to be talking about. You know, we're not talking about a 16-year-old who has said he wants to come when he's 18 because the law doesn't require him. Technically, Haaland, you know, can come whenever. And sure, we're not in the economic, financial situation to sign him now. But, you know, these articles that say, oh, well, you know, it's like one time I saw an article that says, oh, Haaland is going to Manchester City in order to sign for Real Madrid. They were saying that in Madrid. And I was like, what? If he wants to go to Real Madrid, he could just go to Real Madrid. Why would he sign for Manchester City so he could sign? Anyways, FIFA international breaks are very slow for news. So you see all kinds of crazy articles. I wouldn't buy too much. I'm not saying they're lying. Just I wouldn't buy too much into something like that. 2 years is a long time in football. That many things can happen. But anyways, let's get back to the news because speaking of defenders, Barcelona have received multiple offers for our youngster Hector Fort, and it's reported that these offers are upwards of 30 to 35 million euros, which is some pretty serious money, not only for a defender, but for an academy player. Because let's remember, Hector Fort is not even a first-team player, but that just highlights the quality that Hector Fort has the potential that he has, where despite him not being a first-team player, despite him not playing consistently in the first division, and only being 17 years old, he's already attracting offers for 30 to 35 million euros. It's not just one, it's multiple offers. They haven't revealed what clubs have been, but multiple clubs have made 30 to 35 million euro offers to Barcelona, which of course Barcelona has rejected. Barcelona has absolutely no intention of getting rid of their youngsters. We talked about it, I think it was yesterday or the day before in the video where Joan Laporta in his interview confirmed that Barcelona have been getting crazy amount of offers for their youngsters. Barcelona have received offers for Gabi, Pedri, Frankie, who not technically a youngster, but Araujo. And of course, he confirmed that offer that Barcelona received for Lamine Yamal for 200 million euros, mega offer. And now Hector Fort and also Pau Cubarsí have joined the list of players that other clubs would die to have, but they cannot because Barcelona are not interested in selling any of these youngsters who Barcelona consider are fundamental for Barcelona's project. They're the present and the future. And that is why Barcelona have already began, as I reported before, negotiations with Hector Fort in order to increase or extend his contract, increase his release clause, and of course, try to keep him at the club for as long as possible. And Hector Fort is not 18 yet, so Barcelona want to wait until he's 18 so they can give him his first long contract. As you know, under the rules, you cannot sign long contracts when you're under 18. That's why Lamine Yamal, when he turned 16, was given his first professional contract, which is the age when you can sign your first professional contract, but it's only for 2 years because you cannot sign long contracts when you're under 18. So Barcelona want to wait until Hector Fort turns 18 to give him his first long contract, but they still want to have everything in order. That's why they started negotiations already. They want to have everything negotiated, everything written, the contracts drafted, etc. That way, the day he turns 18, pen to paper, done, secured. And that's how it should be, because we should not let these youngsters go because they are incredibly talented, and we should not repeat the mistakes of Bartomeu did, which was consistently letting our young talent flee. Anyways, let's get back to the news. Sorry, not the news. Comment section. Let's see. Stanley says, one thing we have to realize as culés, Xavi is the only coach in Barca's recent history. Is that Xavi is only coaching Barca without Messi. Henceforth, he deserves a little slack, I guess. But he still has plenty to work with. I've gotten a lot of comments where people say, and I'm not saying this is you, Stanley, but I've gotten a lot of comments in the past where like, oh, Xavi's great. How dare you criticize him because he came during a bad time, and he's working with what he has or with what very little he has. And I'm like, hold on a minute. There are other ways to defend Xavi. He has done a lot of great things, giving the chance to youngsters, unifying the locker room. He did come during a difficult time, but saying that he's working with very little, that's when you lose all credibility, because Xavi is not working with very little. Xavi's working with Ter Stegen, Araujo, Cubarsí, Christensen, Koundé, Cancelo, Balde, Pedri, Gabi, Frankie, Gundogan, Lamine Yamal, Lewandowski, and that's not even counting the players in the academy like Hector Fort. Xavi's working with a lot. These are some of the best players in the world. We have more than enough to be a competitive squad. Not enough, more than enough to be a competitive squad. So to tell me, oh, Xavi, poor Xavi, he has to work with Lamine and he has to coach Gavi. Oh my goodness, poor guy. These players, any coach in the world would kill to train these players. And here we have Xavi who's actually training them. And you're telling me, poor guy, he came to work with so little? It's fine to defend Xavi, but defend them the right way. Not through nonsensical arguments, because that's one of them. That's definitely a nonsensical argument. All right. Actually, we'll do a couple more comments and then let's see where we leave off. All right, let's see. Junior says, I think a loan for Fayet, the top club in Europe, would be great so he can get experience with the first team. That's a good point. I would prefer him to stay, but I think a loan would be the best scenario. because Faye is in that age, he's 19, where he needs consistency. He needs as many minutes as possible so he can develop. He's in that critical stage when he's going from being, a teenager / a boy to a man. And footballistically speaking, that's a very critical area where you have to play. That's why I was happy when Ansu left to Brighton, because he wasn't getting the minutes. And I'm like, if he doesn't keep playing, he's going to lose it, right? So I think it's a good time to send Faye on loan, because look, next season with Kouarsi, Araujo, Christensen, Kunde, Iñigo, Faye is not going to get that many minutes. He might get minutes, and I'm sure he will, but it's not going to be like if he left to, let's say, Girona. In Girona, they're probably going to play him 90 minutes of every match. Of course, they're going to rotate him. Mitchell is pretty good about rotating his players, but you get the point. He's going to get way more minutes at Girona or another team than he will at Barcelona next season. And that's going to help him make a huge jump, because right now he's killing it in third division, but then to get to play a entire season in first division for another team, he's going to skyrocket even more as far as skill and talent. And then we can bring him back, because remember, next summer, not 2024, but 2025, Iñigo Martinez's contract is up. So he's going to leave an opening on a team. And that will be perfect for Mika Faye to come in and swoop in. But I don't know. You guys tell me, what do you think? And meanwhile, let's get back to the news, because we have to talk about another defender and another defender and another defender, because we have a million defenders. But let's talk about another defender, which is Julian Araujo, who currently is having a pretty good season with Las Palmas. He has become a permanent fixture of Garcia Pimienta's team. He has, I think, played something like 1,400 or 1,500 minutes in 25 matches. He has scored 2 goals. And he has given an interview recently where he has declared his intention for his future. Of course, FIFA international break, a lot of interviews happen, given that it is slow for club football. But this is what Julian Araujo has said. He said, "I'm really enjoying my time at Las Palmas, but my ultimate dream is to go back to Barcelona. It's one of my main goals. I have faith and I'm hopeful that everything will work out. Right now, my focus is on helping Las Palmas secure their spot and aiming higher to qualify for the Europa League." So Julian Araujo making it very clear that his goal, his intention, his dream is to come back to Barcelona. Of course, his loan will end at the end of the season. There's no option or obligation to buy, so Julian Araujo will be coming back to Barcelona. But the question is, of course, what's going to happen to him once he comes back? Now, Barcelona's plan for Julian Araujo is he will participate in the preseason. That is something that Barcelona have made up their mind on. They want him to participate in the preseason. And he's the second part. Whoever is the coach in the summer, whether Laporta decides to convince Xavi to stay or whether the club brings someone else, that coach will decide on what to do with Julian Araujo. So if he does great in the preseason, we'll see if the new coach will want to keep him, or Barcelona have the option of selling him, and they think they could make a decent amount of money for him, given that his value has gone up after his successful season so far. And of course, if he can impress in a preseason enough to increase his value even more, but maybe not enough to become a first-team player, then maybe we can talk even higher market value. But that's the plan for Julian Araujo, is to come back, participate in the preseason, and whoever the coach is will decide his fate, whether to keep him, whether to sell him. Either way, Barcelona will not be prejudiced by this. If he can prove himself to be a first-team quality player, then great. We just got ourselves another right back. And if not, we can still make money off him. Either way, it's a win-win for Barcelona. But just know that that is the plan for the young player. All right, that is all the news. Let's do several comments. Let's see what you guys are saying. Let's see. Oh, by the way, Julian Araujo will not play against us next weekend because he does have, of course, a fear clause in his contract. So we won't see Julian Araujo play against Barcelona next weekend. Taha says, I think the period we're in now is similar to 1999-2004 when we didn't win much, but La Masia was making Xavi, Piqué, Puyol, Messi, Iniesta, etc. Then we dominated after these players matured. Yeah, 100% agree with you. And coincidentally, that's when Laporta was president as well. And that's when Laporta decided to bet on Pep when the chosen one was Mourinho. Thank God he did, because we've seen what Mourinho turned out to be. And that's when Laporta and Guardiola did another crazy thing and said, get rid of all the stars, like Ronaldinho, Eto'o, Deco, and bring in the kids from the academy. And both decisions, people were like, what? You're crazy. What do you mean you're going to bring this Barca athletic coach with no experience? And what do you mean you're going to bring these kids? Who the hell is Messi? Do I even know a Messi? And boom, we had the best Barcelona in the history. Hopefully it's a repeat again. I mean, we're seeing a lot of signs. Laporta being, the president, betting on youngsters. And these youngsters, my goodness, these are not any youngsters. This is probably one of the best classes in a very, very long time. Probably since the class of Messi, Iniesta, Xavi, etc. Cubarsí, Lamine, Hector, even Gabi and Araujo. Well, Araujo's not really an academy player. They signed him for Barcelona. But even like Gabi and Balde, who might not be from the same class, they're a class older, but they're still some solid players too. All right, let's see. Black Belt says, what if Guardiola and Haaland comes to Barca? Pep has said he would not want to coach Barcelona again. So I don't see it happening. But if they do, welcome. I'll go pick them up myself from the airport. I will fly to Barcelona. I will hire a black car and drive to the airport, pick them up, drive them around, whatever they want. I'll be at their disposal. Alfred says, follow you from West Africa, Liberia, where footballer Africa would best from King George. Weah. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for joining the live stream. And we have Lord Stark, who is watching from Ghana. That's pretty amazing, too. And Fireboy says, honestly, Mo, you have amazing points on Xavi, and I agree. I hope your channel grows. And I can't wait to enjoy more of your content. Thank you, my friend. And one way you can help me grow is hit that like button. It only takes a second. It's completely free, and it's the best way to help this channel, because when you hit the like button, it prompts the YouTube algorithm to promote the video and the channel to other people that never seen it. And that's the best way you can contribute. But thank you for your comment, my friend. Let's see. Romain says, I watched Julian play with Mexico against Panama last Thursday. He looked comfortable on the ball. I hope he makes that transition, or at least bring us some. We'll see. But anyways, that is it, my friends. Thank you for tuning in. You guys are absolutely amazing. Thank you for your likes, your comments, your subscriptions, everything you do for this channel. This channel is growing because of you. So thank you again. Have a good night or good morning wherever you are in the world. And as always, peace, guys.